Hey, what's up everybody? Anthony Sevins back again for another movie review, and today we're going to be talking about Venom, Let There Be Carnage. This will be a little spoiler heavy, loaded with spoilers, and very detailed, so grab your coffee, smoke them if you got them, stick around, and let's rock and roll.
Ignition sequence starts. 6,
There is so much to talk about when it comes to these Sony Venom films. All I have to say is Venom should be in the MCU, or let me rephrase that. Venom should have come in during certain events of the MCU. Because, see, what some people don't realize is that there's been, I guess you could say, a couple different ways that Venom has entered the MCU, but the origin of Venom started off back in the days in a huge Marvel miniseries featuring just tons of Marvel superheroes. It was called The Secret Wars. And in one of the issues of Secret Wars, when they're fighting on another planet, and I'll try to summarize this the best I can, when they're fighting on another planet, Spider-Man's uniform gets torn up and fucked up and destroyed. And on this planet, he finds what he believes to be a costume regeneration machine. And this black goo jumps on him and forms all over him into what he becomes known as the black-suited Spider-Man, or simply Black Spider-Man, or symbiote Spider-Man, or whatever, however you want to look at it. But Spider-Man had a long-running series of him in this black alien suit that he brought back to Earth with him. Now, during the period of time, as time went on, it started driving Peter Parker mad and crazy, and it started talking to him, kind of like what you see in the Venom films, how Venom talks to Eddie Brock. Well, blah, blah, blah. Peter Parker wound up getting Eddie Brock fired from the Daily Bugle because Eddie Brock was, in fact, a reporter, just as he's represented for the most part. And so Eddie Brock had this loathing for Peter Parker, this hatred for him. And the more that the black alien symbiote wanted to take over Peter Parker, the more Peter Parker started realizing, like, shit, I need to get this creature off of my body because it's making me a bad, terrible fucking person. And I think that no matter how stupid or cheesy people think, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 truly represented the origin of Venom and how he came to be a lot better than what the Venom movies had done. Now, we'll get into multiverse shit in just a short bit here, but as far as, I'm just talking about the main origins of the comic book version of Venom. So anyways, so just like in Sam Raimi's movie, Spider-Man had to use the sonics of the church bells to get this alien suit off of him. And then, blah, 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 Eddie Brock walks into the church one day, and the alien symbiote, he pretty much senses Eddie Brock's loathing for Peter Parker. And now, the suit totally hates, the alien hates Peter Parker as well. So these two, one alien being and one human being, have this hatred for both Spider-Man and Peter Parker. And that's when Eddie and the symbiote merge together and they form Venom, becoming one of Spider-Man's most deadliest villains ever. But the point I'm trying to bring up is that normally, for us diehards, you can't have Venom really exist unless there's Spider-Man there to bring all of that in. And like, Spider-Man is the one that ushers Venom, into the comic books. So, now let's get back to the movie. All right, so the movie did not do that at all. There is no Spider-Man to be seen in either the first one or the second one, and I'm not talking about the after credits of Let There Be Carnage. I'm just talking about both movies, in the bodies of each movie in general. Didn't have any Spider-Man in it. So to me personally, to a diehard fan who knows the comic books, it was slightly aggravating. There were many things. It just kind of felt like there was this empty hole, this void that was missing in watching Venom do his thing, and that void missing was Spider-Man. So, whatever. And I understand when it comes to the cinematic universe, you're not going to have, another, 6 movies that form the Secret Wars, and then the symbiote, and then we go through how many movies of Spider-Man in the black suit. And you have to do a lot of fast forwarding and a lot of shortcutting, and I get that, I understand it. But like I said, the person that did that best so far, even though he didn't do it right, was Sam Raimi in Spider-Man 3 with how Venom came to be. That was like the short version. But anyways, as films, for those who don't know about the comic books, who haven't read the comic books, who can give two shits about the comic books, Venom and Let There Be Carnage were pretty entertaining films, and I mean, now I kind of will get into the positive aspect of things. The way that they did the character of Venom himself, him and Eddie fused and talking back and forth in each other's heads and stuff, that really felt pulled out of the pages of the comic book, and that was the saving grace. Tom Hardy's performance and how they did the character of Venom was the saving grace of these films. Even with Cletus Cassidy in Let There Be Carnage, they really captured the essence of what the character is. I just wish they would have said it legit in a legit Spider-Man movie that way. Because even, let's take Let There Be Carnage, all right? The way that Cletus Cassidy becomes Carnage is that Eddie is actually locked up with Cletus Cassidy. And the suit comes in and saves Eddie and breaks Eddie out of prison and leaves a little bit of the suit behind that latches itself onto Cletus Cassidy. And because he's just a psychopathic maniac, he becomes Carnage. So he is the son of Venom, just like how they mentioned in Let There Be Carnage. And, he is Cletus Cassidy. And again, the essence of both of these Spider-Man villains are there. But see, when Carnage was first introduced, Spider-Man was the first one to run into him and fight him. And at this time, Eddie Brock was on a deserted island somewhere. That Spider-Man trapped him on a deserted island so many comics before. But Spider-Man was the first one to run into Carnage and fight him. And Spider-Man couldn't handle him. Like, Spider-Man's like, fuck this thing's out of control. And the only person that knows anything about how we could fight this thing would be Venom or Eddie Brock. So Spider-Man had to go seek out Venom and on this island and say, dude, you spawned some serious shit back in New York and he's killing innocent people. And Venom got pissed, like, oh my God, this is my responsibility for this, just this once, Spider-Man. I will team up with you and we're going to work together and go kick some ass. So it was kind of like the whole introduction of Carnage in the comic books was a Spider-Man and Venom team up, and it was a pretty badass, those were badass comic books. Those came out in the 90s. I was in high school when those comics came out. So, I mean, it was super badass. And Venom, as well as Carnage, were always of my favorite Spider-Man villains, because so much crazy bullshit spawned off of that in the comics. And there were so many different versions and iterations, and then you deal with different versions from parallel universes and all this other wacky shit. But as far as the movie goes, I mean, they got the gist of it right. They got the essence of Venom and Carnage right. But it just felt like Spider-Man's missing. Like, I want to love these movies, and I do, to a point. I do love them. They are entertaining as fuck. And now that the post-credit of Let There Be Carnage has revealed that Venom has now been transported to the legit MCU, well, I'm assuming, I guess we can all assume, that he is going to run into Spider-Man. Maybe we'll see Spider-Man using that. Maybe they'll become enemies. Maybe they'll become friends. We don't know. Because right now, between what Sony has done with shit and Marvel has done with shit, everything's just kind of in this fucked up flux right now. And it's just kind of like, why couldn't Sony just sell the rights to the MCU and the MCU could have integrated it a little bit properly? But however, be it that the Venom and Let There Be Carnage movies were taking place in a completely different universe than what the current MCU is in, it made sense. It's kind of like when they transported Venom and he wakes up and he's now in the real Spider-Man universe. It's kind of like, okay, that's kind of a cheater restart. Now Venom is in the MCU, and Venom will be in future Spider-Man happenings, whether it's this new Spider-Man or Spider-Man movies to come. So it's kind of cool in that way. And I think that's really what I'm trying to get at. When it comes to Venom and Let There Be Carnage, they're just simply cool movies. They're cool Venom movies, independent films that were kind of done right in essence, but certainly a far fucking fetch away from any of the comic book stories. So, can we even see Carnage again down the road? Sure. Venom reintegrated Carnage back into his system. So, I guess you can have another Cletus Cassidy in the Marvel-verse, and Venom can spawn more symbiotic, parasitic children, I guess you can say. So that's kind of cool. Who knows? I don't know. I don't even want to make any predictions right now, because my predictions, I've got 10. There's 10 different ways that the story can travel off into, and it would make this video like an hour fucking long. So anyways, with all that I just said, and I hope that you understand it, and I hope you get my gist, I'm giving both. I'm going to actually do a double whammy here. I'm giving both Venom and Let There Be Carnage a 6.5. Now, remember, when I do these reviews, anything above a 5 is in the green zone, different shades of green per se. So I'm giving, 6.5 to both films, because they were essentially entertaining films. They were entertaining, and it was, I can say it was absolutely fantastic to see both Venom and Carnage done the right comic book savvy way, as opposed to what Sam Raimi did with that character in Spider-Man 3. So it was great to see legit Venom and legit Carnage, and that was awesome. And I loved the some of the goofy comedy in there. Just everything about Venom in both of these films was exactly how he is in the comic books, between the comedy and protecting the innocents. And even Venom had his own series for a bit in the 90s called Lethal Protector, so they were riding on that in Let There Be Carnage. So there was a lot of legit shit in there. It's just the movies as a whole weren't really legit. So yeah, 6.5. If you're a huge fan of Venom and like I am, I would definitely recommend seeing these films. I've seen both of them a few times already at this point in time, so they are rewatchable, they are fun, and they are legit Venom. Anyways, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for joining me. Till we meet again, take care of yourself, take care of each other.